Greetings. Welcome back to another episode of the Death Tax and Sports Podcast. I'm here. Looks like it's just two of us for right now, but Mr. Gary Legend himself will wake up from a snap. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, when he gets back, all of you will be super excited and super thrilled. Can't you tell by the excitement on my face? Boom. I'm here with my fellow Johnson Wells alumni himself, Ben Holloway, or Stats Holloway. We like to call him that. Stats Holloway. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, sir. Doing well.
Yeah, man. I was like, we got NBA playoffs. And I was like, today is the play-in. And I'm like, let's just, get a quick little episode in, kind of get our thoughts. We have a couple topics that we're going to get into, but I think that it's good to kind of start. But I'm going to deviate just a little bit real quick. 30 seconds. Dame Lillard, blood clot. They said that he's not going to play for the start of the NBA playoffs. They say the start. I don't think that man's playing. But just 1 or 2 minutes, your thoughts.
He ain't playing. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth the risk. I know he's older, but in their ideal scenario, which I don't know if it'll be a reality given how the last year and a half has gone, but their ideal scenario, Giannis and Dame are there together for at least another 3 years. In their ideal scenario, I don't really see that happening, but Giannis also doesn't – Giannis, to me, I know we're talking Dame, but, Giannis is a huge factor in all this, but he doesn't seem to me to be the guy to demand a trade or want to leave. I know he's made kind of verbal jabs and kind of threats to the media and stuff about the team needing to win and this and that. I'm not saying he's fake, because that don't take it that way, because, I'm sure he wants to win. I just don't see it getting to a point where he says to the Bucks, trade me. Like, I feel like he's content, even though, he's kind of had those verbal things in the past. Of course, I'll admit to be wrong if I am. I do not see Giannis in another uniform. I think he's going to stick it out. He's going to be a Nowitzki. And maybe a Nowitzki who wins one championship and plays 20 years, however many it was. But as far as Dame goes, if it's a Game 6, Game 7, and he's fully cleared, maybe. But he ain't playing the first 4 games, I would say, pretty comfortably. And if it's 2-2 at that point, then, you take a look. But you got to think of his long-term health. You absolutely have to think of his long-term health. So,
yeah, I think with Dame, when you're dealing with a blood clot issue, you first think of you think of Chris Bosh.
Mm-hmm.
And blood clots have started to become a little bit more common for players, I kind of feel, relative to, though it is still a small number, it is still more than like a 50% increase that we've seen year over year where players have dealt with blood clots. So it is starting to become a little bit of a concerning trend. When you deal with blood clots, those can go to your heart and you can literally die. So if I'm him, I shut it down. I don't play for the rest of the season. But to Giannis, and then we'll get to the rest of it, I feel like he's content now that he has a championship. I don't think Giannis really has anything else left to prove. He's a multi-time MVP. He's still one of the top 10 players in the league. I still think he's going to go down as one of the top 30 to 40 maybe great players of all time. I don't think necessarily him winning another championship is going to, boost his resume as far as all-time greats of Hall of Fame, because he's never going to be in the top 10, right? So
if you don't, the difference between 1 and 2 is minimal. The difference between 0 championships and 1 championship is pretty significant. But the difference between 1 title and 2 titles, it's not significant. I feel like you got to get to 3 or 4 to be in a different kind of stratosphere.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. We'll see. And plus, his shot is kind of starting to wear off. You wonder how many years left. But anyway, we could talk more about that forever. So, Clippers, what we got here? I got to look at this agenda here because I didn't.
Yeah, I'll lead in, sir. So, on the Clippers,
go ahead.
We got how they finished the season 18-3. So clearly that they're maybe the hottest team in the NBA, probably so, considering both 1 seeds kind of, I would say, chillaxed. Let's be honest, they had the 1 seed clinched back in February for the most part. So I don't buy much into OKC or Cleveland struggles the last 3-4 weeks or so. But as far as the Clippers go, the last time we saw Kawhi Leonard start and finish a playoff season was in 2020, was in the bubble. And that was the time where we got, as sports fans, robbed. that was probably the last opportunity we would have seen prime Kawhi versus prime LeBron in the West, and it would have been in the Western Conference Finals. And of course, the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead. But that is the last time that Kawhi Leonard started and finished a playoff season. That was in the bubble, 2020, 2021. Other than that, the last couple of years, or 2019, I don't know. I get it mixed up. Anyways, I looked this up because I knew it was a bunch. In the last 20 playoff games for the Clippers, he's played 4. 4 out of 20. So availability, not his strong suit at all. But I will say this, as quote unquote boring as he is as a superstar, it's better for the NBA when the best players play. And at health, he's one of the best players still. Wouldn't say top 5, but he's still a really, really great player. It is better for the product of the NBA for the stars to be healthy. Now, if he's able to kind of buck the trend and actually stay healthy this playoffs, the next question comes, well, where can the Clippers go? Are they possibly, do we believe that, given good health, they get past the Nuggets, OKC and the Clippers, health-wise is good. Do we think the Clippers can get to the Western Conference Finals? Could they beat OKC? That's the question.
Ben, I just feel like we've watched this rodeo over and over again, and we've always questioned it. I feel like the last 2 or 3 years, there's always little remnants of greatness of Kawhi Leonard, and I always talk about legacy, right? Because playoffs is about legacy for players, and I feel for Kawhi Leonard, he sealed the deal twice, and has been the best player in 2 championships. Well, okay, maybe not the Spurs, but
definitely with Toronto.
Yeah,
that Toronto championship changed things.
Yeah, so for him, you can't really say that Kawhi Leonard is a failure because he's already won 2 championships and he was a Finals MVP. So he was rated as the top 75, the top 75 players of all time. So for him, it's really just semantics at this point because he's already proven it. So
the cherry on top of the sundae type deal.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think if he's able to make it through a full series, I think that's a win. But I'm almost okay, he's going to play the first game, and then I'm just waiting for that inevitable, man, something's wrong with the knee. Not saying he's faking it, but we've just seen this rodeo before.
And
James Harden.
Yep.
A little bit older.
And the one thing about Kawhi, too, and Stephen A. has pointed this out in the past, when players get hurt, normally you're like, crap, there's his knee, or wow, there's his leg. Kawhi gets hurt, you don't even see it. It's when did that injury happen? I didn't see anything. He didn't fall. He didn't, with the exception of Zaza stepping on his ankle. Most of his injuries, you don't really see them happen. I do remember in the playoffs when he ran into the guy and he did his knee, but a lot of his knee injuries, it's well, when did that get hurt? I didn't see anything in the game. So it's kind of weird. It's almost like the silent injury, so to speak. Again, not questioning his toughness or, his will to play, because I don't doubt for a second he wants to play and he trains hard to play. Just his body fails him. That's just what it is. It's hard to say it's his fault that you're not healthy. He could be doing everything possible in the offseason, training, all this physical therapy and strength rehab and all that. And it might not be his fault, to be honest. We don't like to say that. We say, oh, why can't you stay healthy? Well, what if he's trying? His body's just not responding to the therapy and the treatment. We can't say he
I don't think he's trying. I don't think he's he doesn't strike me as a guy that is, he doesn't really say anything. So it's almost it's better that you don't say anything and just let it be for what it is. Yep. He doesn't strike me as a guy that is trying to avoid it. And I just think his knees just give out. But I'll tell you what, though, let's just say in the sake of perfect world, he's healthy and he's back to what he is. This is a contending team because he's that good when
if they're if they're at full strength, they're taking OKC to 7 games in round 2.
Yeah,
if
and
they're at
and
full
speaking
strength.
of which, like legendary, like everybody, Gary, the mother effing legend himself, is here. Let us just bow down to the greatness, Gary Legend, sir.
What's up, Gary? What's up, Gary?
Evening, folks. Some technical difficulties, but where I'm from, you find a way, you make one. So here we are on my phone. So
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah.
you look different. You get a haircut? Did you you look younger?
Well, since the last time you see me, I'm regrowing out my facial hair. So
Okay,
there's that.
gotcha. No, I feel that. Lakers at 5. But so
Yes, sir.
first, Gary, I have a little bit of a gripe with you.
Okay.
You were very disrespectful on my Facebook post today when I made a
Your
statement.
Facebook post was disrespectful. Like,
Your comment was disrespectful.
no, I wasn't being rude. I'm like, because that was a very open-ended statement. The Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl. You didn't say this year, so I'm asking you: do you mean 2025?
Oh yeah, we're going undefeated.
All right, listen, we all can dream. I respect it. But that was a legitimate question. That wasn't me trying to be mean. I was like, yo,
I'm just throwing,
does he mean like this year or
He's just
so
he's just throwing shade.
Yeah, but not talking about it. But I want to get you. I want to get you into this conversation, but with the Clippers and their health in the long term. But 3 words to describe, because you're just like super funny with your humor. Give me 3 words to describe Kawhi's chances of actually making it past the second quarter of the first game, and then your thoughts. First quarter.
to making past the first quarter of the first game?
Yeah, before his knee blows out. You got to make it past the first quarter.
I mean, we can give him past the first quarter, but
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if he plays this whole series, and if that's the case, the 3 words would be in God's hands because I don't think it's in his.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. But we were just talking like Clippers, their chances, because I was saying like one from a legacy perspective, he has nothing left to prove. But I think that if he's healthy, they match up very well against OKC, and if he's healthy, I think they beat OKC. I'm just gonna put that out there. If they do,
yeah, I'm saying like even though Kawhi is not the same, like if he is healthy, he's still one of the best 10 defenders in the league. Maybe one of the best 5 defenders in the league. My point in saying that is they could just have him shadow SGA in the fourth quarter. Just follow him, fight over every pick. You're on him and make SGA's life hell, for lack of better words. So they could definitely press OKC to 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I think the beautiful thing about this year's playoffs, like even though we have like, the defending champion Celtics in there, and you say you have Cleveland with a great season, Oklahoma City with a great season, this playoffs is kind of wide open. Like there's no clear like, oh, this is the team. Like last year, Boston was clearly the team that was the team to beat going into the playoffs, and ultimately they actually came through on that. So saying that Oklahoma City is beatable. Like I'm sorry, like and they yes they had a great regular season. A lot of teams in that franchise's history, there have been a lot of great regular seasons, both in Oklahoma City and Seattle, that did not equal a trip to the finals. I'm not saying that there are any, that they're the same as the past. Things change, people change. Like I get that, but that's an untested team. That's a team that, yes, in theory, should find themselves in a conference finals or even the NBA finals based off of their record. But we know that when it comes to the playoffs, records don't matter. We've seen the best teams fall time and time again.
Yeah, like, oh man, I just like, and then we're gonna move to the next thing. I feel like OKC, Gary and Ben is like, and Ben, we talked about it. Like, you put OKC, you put the whole team in like a box, right? Where all the pieces kind of fit very well together, right? And SGA is kind of like that variant that can kind of move around the box and plug in the holes, right? Like their 2 centers are not necessarily the most bruising centers, but I tell you what, they're some of the best passing bigs in the league, and they do a lot of
defense to the
yeah,
best
they do a lot of
defender.
high screen pick and rolls, and their wings score off of their passing or with their smothering defense. But if the game slows down and they're not able to get the turnovers and run in fast break, and they shut down SGA, then what do you have? Right?
I kind of feel like Chet Holmgren needs to have like a playoff, not a series, like a playoff run where, you know, he's not putting up 25 or 30 every game, but I feel like 1 or 2 games a series, he kind of puts up 25, 30, and that's kind of would get him maybe to the next step. But because their wings they just got a bunch of really, really good players outside of SGA. SGA is the excellent player, the great player, and they just got a really, really good team. But you're going to need some more offense. It can't just all be on SGA.
Definitely.
Chet Holmgren needs to win them a game in these playoffs.
Exactly.
Like that's
one game
like
per
I don't
series.
need him to, I don't even need that. He needs to assert himself to the point where he could be the threat to win a game in the playoffs.
Okay, I feel you. Yep.
Like this is SGA's time to shine. If he's going to be the MVP, which I honestly don't think at this point that he is because of Jokic's season, but like, you know, if he's going to assert himself, and I know playoffs have no impact on him on the regular season awards, but it's going to have an impact on his overall legacy. He's going to have that playoff run where he's the guy. But Chet Holmgren has to be a strong enough decoy that other teams are going to pay more attention to him and then sag off SGA more.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But all right, gentlemen, let's kind of get this thing rolling. Mr. Ben Holloway, I believe that you were crying about wanting to start off with the Lakers in Minnesota. So go ahead. We have your tissue for you. It will be FedEx shortly. So say how you really feel, Benjamin.
Anyways, those jabs aside, I'm gonna keep it simple. I feel like if I'm Minnesota, because in the playoffs, I feel like coaches and teams overcomplicate things like crazy. If I'm Minnesota on offense, I'm targeting Luka and Reeves every single possession.
Oh, definitely.
Every possession. I'm getting pick and roll, and I'm getting Reeves, and I'm getting or Luka on the guy on the ball. And because for the most part, the Lakers will always have one on the court. They'll never be without Luka and Reeves. So for Minnesota's purposes, you get Edwards switched on one of those guys every possession in my mind. Just keep it simple. And as far as the Lakers go, on the flip side, get Gobert out of the game. Make Gobert unplayable by having him running him in pick and roll, because we know what he can/can't do on the perimeter. And it's not just last year. I mean, he won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, and then in the playoffs, you see teams attacking him on the perimeter. So Gobert is clearly a huge piece for them as far as rebounding, defense, offensive rebounds. I feel like if I'm the Lakers, I want Gobert to either be exposed because the Minnesota's coach just keeps on playing him regardless.
Oh, Luka will do that to him. Don't worry about that.
Or you got to force their hand and make Minnesota kind of basically take Gobert out in key moments. But I feel like in this series, it's kind of like I just feel like coaches overcomplicate things. Attack the other team's weakness every single time down the court. That's what lead to your success. So I feel like that's to me, that's how I'd be looking at it. And if the Lakers, if they're gonna try and do that to Luka and Reeves, you got to throw some double teams at Edwards. And to be honest, why not throw some double teams basically at half court? Do what teams do to Steph sometimes. See how they react. See what happens. But I think it's gonna be. I think it actually could be like a 5-game series. I think LA is just.
Do you mean?
Better. I think LA is just better.
Ben, do you mean Lakers in 5?
Yes.
You really do mean Lakers in 5. Gary, like this series, it is either Luka has to be absolutely phenomenal in every game for them to make a deep run in the playoffs. But I think because of Minnesota's lack of consistency and you don't know what you're going to get in, night out, Luka just has to be average. But I just don't. I don't know where to go with this one, because if Minnesota is really locked in, I think they can win this series, not easily, but I definitely think it would be a tough one. I definitely think both of these teams are going to at least get 2 games, but it's just hard for me to trust the Lakers because of that lack of size. And when it comes to when the game is slowing down, you need your bigs to create that pick and roll game is going to be so pivotal. And without that consistent lob threat for Luka, I just think it makes things a little bit different. But if they force Minnesota, because of their athletic bigs with Darius Finney-Smith and all those other guys, make them to shoot threes instead of it becoming a post game, then I think it goes to the Lakers. But I think whoever can control their kind of like their style or their preference of play, I think they win.
So first, let me just say this. If you're Rudy Gobert, how pissed off are you that once again you find yourself up against Luka Doncic in the playoffs? You thought that, he was going to be in Dallas. Dallas was going whatever, was going to be whatever. And then he gets traded and you go, okay, this can't be too bad. And now you find yourself up against him once again. And now he has an even better team that he's playing with now.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Yeah.
Like, that's scary. To your point, Minnesota can win this series. Like we saw them knock off the defending champions the year before. Like we saw them go into Denver and beat them.
Yep.
I think that's a team that's basically arrived. That was their moment last season. Now, saying that, I think for Luka's benefit, he has to have a dominant first round series. He has to kind of be the guy, because I think LeBron is definitely like positioning himself to pass that torch to Luka, because that it's been said since the trade. This is now going to be Luka's team going forward. So LeBron's going to give him every opportunity to flourish and to shine, and you're going to see the difference between him and Anthony Davis in this series. I mean, as far as like overall impact for this team.
Consistency.
The consistency is different. I think Luka will be up for these playoffs because he has something to prove.
Oh yeah, he's got a point to prove for sure.
That the Mavericks, which it's not much of a point if everybody in the free world is saying it, but it is a point to be made anyway. Like that you shouldn't have traded your franchise player because defense wins championships.
I mean, Ben, you shared in a group text like Nico Collins, whatever that boy's name is. What's that man's name? Nico Harris?
Scapegoat. His name's Scapegoat.
Scapegoat. Okay, Scapegoat.
Nico Harrison.
Okay, Scapegoat Harrison. There we go. The fact that this man does not believe that he regrets the trade, he is going to stand 10 toes down, and he's never going to admit it. Okay.
He has been fed a company line to be said, and he's going to get a pretty little bonus money and a nice severance package on his way out the door. This is all business. That man's going to find a job someplace else as an assistant GM to rebuild his credibility. Let's say Utah, for example, someplace like that. Like this man is setting himself up for his future. It was a very political statement, and the fact that he only had a few members of the close Dallas media and nobody else there for this conversation, no cameras and no microphones.
We don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know how much pressure ownership played in that trade.
Man has
ownership's writing the checks, so ownership could have had a huge play in that trade.
That man graduated from the Jerry Jones School of Public Relations.
He has so much money, he doesn't have to work another day in his life. Like this man has nothing. Like he has nothing to worry about. He'll get another. I mean, yeah, this trade, but it's not like the trade. Yeah, as bad as the trade is, it is not like he had an affair or like committed like political suicide. You know what I mean? Like it's bad, but I don't know. But we can talk.
It's bad business, but Daryl Morey has a job, and what has he done?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. So one last point on this Lakers. Yeah. So their 2 stars, well, superstars, I will say, because Reeves is getting his way into star. He's going to be an all-star pretty soon. LeBron and Luka, number 1 and number 2 in points per game in elimination games. That's in NBA history. Jordan, Bird, Magic. Luka's 1, LeBron's 2 in points per game and elimination games. So clutch-wise, I don't think the Lakers got much to worry about with those two.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's going to be a good series, though. I'm hoping the Lakers do it. I still think the Lakers can do it. I don't know. Just got to wait and see.
Got some hesitation. I got you. Some hesitation.
Wait, ready for this? Go Bear, go Cart, go Dog, go. Lakers in 5. You're welcome, Shannon. If I hear it on ESPN, I'm going to be pissed.
Shannon Sharp will be listening. All right, Mr. Gary, toss it up to you. This one, New York Knicks. Does Thibs get the axe if they lose in the first round? Because I think this Pistons team is going to win this series. I think they're going to do it.
I think the Pistons will push this series longer than it should be. I don't think that they'll win. I don't think they can win 4 games with at least 2 of them being in Madison Square Garden. I don't see that happening. I think they have the absolute capability to push it to a 7-game series and tire the Knicks out in a way that will then make them basically futile against, they would be playing Boston. So, I worry about that part of it. I don't think, much like Oklahoma City, Detroit's on the other side of it. Like they are another untested team. Yes, they have better coaching this season, or I don't even think the coaching was bad last season. I think the circumstances were bad last season, but this is a team that only won 14 games a year ago. Like it's not like it's a great story that they won 30 more games, but they're not that far away from being that 14-win team. I think the Lakers. I think the Knicks win the series. I think the Pistons will not make it easy for them, but I do think the Knicks have a lot more to. They have a lot more to prove.
6 games, Gary. You think? Or are you going 5?
Knicks in 5.
I'm gonna go Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6. Okay.
I think they can win in Detroit. I don't think Detroit can win in the Garden when it's in that pressure situation.
And Ben, real quick, I always like to pick one upset in the first round. I always like to do it. And I think that if there's any upset that could, because look, Minnesota beating the Lakers, I don't think that would be like an upset considering the pedigree.
They just made the conference finals last year.
Yeah, I don't think that okay, if you want to,
they just knocked off the champs.
Yeah, and I think that the West is so open that if OKC loses to Denver, I don't consider that an upset. But I think there's more upsets in the East, and I think that the Pistons, considering how horrific they've been the 2 seasons prior. And if they are able to pull it off the Knicks, I think the Knicks are the most vulnerable because of the way that Thibs runs the team to the ground. And I think that he should get fired because this is a team that's in a win now mode, considering all the money that they have into this team, and they're not going to be able to keep all these pieces because of the tax apron, right? So now it's either this year or next year at the most for them to be able to win a title. So, Thibs,
I think. Sorry, just real quick. I think the blessing in disguise for this Knicks team and really for Tom Thibodeau is the fact that Jalen Brunson did miss nearly a month of games. He's not, his lead dog is not run down to the ground the same way everybody else is. So that might buoy them at least through this first round series. That's just something to consider.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. So, but anyway, take it away, Ben.
Yeah, I think that Thibs, if they do lose in the first round, I think he's got to go because there's always got to be a fall guy, right? There's always a fall guy when a team falls short of expectations. There's always a fall guy, and I think he would be the one. But this series, it's kind of like in the playoffs, we see teams with all the pressure in the world, and then the teams with basically no pressure whatsoever. Sometimes the team that doesn't have the pressure rises up, and they got the youth and they got the belief. I think the Pistons can do it, and I do think that Thibs would have to go in that case. I want to throw one last nugget out there. I know we're going to run, but there is a possibility the Memphis Grizzlies do not make the actual playoffs because if Dallas wins, which I think they will in the 9-10, I mean, Dallas has a pretty good team. So there's a distinct possibility. Dallas wins, Memphis loses tonight, Dallas were to beat Memphis. There's a possibility Memphis
Dallas does not deserve to make the playoffs after pulling what they pulled.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm just saying.
Like, they are the beneficiaries of a weak bottom half of the Western Conference.
Yep.
They do not deserve to get in. I'm sorry. Like, I'm actively rooting for Sacramento to beat them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So I know we do have to wrap. I know we did say 30 minutes. Let's just real quick round robin. Ben, the Gary, then myself will go. What is one hot take or one bold prediction for this NBA playoffs?
I think I kind of just gave mine.
Well, give us another one.
Give you another one?
We just love your knowledge.
Give you another one. Despite what everyone's saying, Rockets go into the conference finals.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm going in the exact opposite direction. I think that the Warriors end up in the conference finals this year.
Man.
I think they exact their revenge on the Lakers for last season because Jimmy Butler's going to – I think Jimmy Butler's another player that has something to prove. So I'm going to say that they can knock off – they'll knock off Houston and they'll find themselves in the conference finals.
Okay. Well, I think the Lakers will go to the finals and will win the finals if Luka Doncic averages 34.4 points per game on average.
Okay.
34.4. He has not 34.3, 34.4 points per game.
Highly specific number, but okay.
Okay, because I have to be that complicated. That's my job. My job is to be complicated. So, of course, I'm going to do it.
Fair enough.
But, okay, so the question is, I know we're going to wrap. For this one, we can do in 30 seconds. NBA would rather see Lakers against Cavs, with LeBron obviously against his old team, or Lakers versus Celtics. Which would the NBA want to see? The Lakers Cavs or Lakers Celtics?
Lakers Cavs is easily the more dramatic of the two series.
I think so.
Lakers Celtics would definitely bring in the higher ratings though.
Oh, Jesus.
I think Lakers Cavs would be like must see TV.
I want to see Lakers Cavs, man, because I want to see LeBron go back. And what if it went to a game 7?
And it was in Cleveland.
And it was in Cleveland. And he won the championship and lifted the trophy. That would be
Cleveland. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
He got to retire after that.
If it's those two, it's must see TV.
Yes.
Must see.
He's got to retire after that if he does it.
He's got to retire for this year.
Because what else do you do? You've set every record possible right off in the sun.
And I'm going to say this.
Gary, that would give him 5 like Kobe, too.
I promise this is the last thing. I'm ready for LeBron James to retire. I'm ready. I hope he does it. I just think that from a salary cap perspective for the Lakers to move on, what's best for the Lakers is for LeBron James to retire or just go somewhere else now that we got Luka. Because once when that man gets a center, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
I think getting Luka, I think LeBron's going to say, I want one full season with Luka. Just my honest opinion.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus. I don't know. We'll see.
He's playing at a high level. Why not?
Exactly.
We'll see. Okay. I'm exhausted even just thinking about that. All right, gents, it is a pleasure. I'm glad that we were able to get this in. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to run it back next Tuesday. I don't know about y'all. Well, no. We'll see. Will I? Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But next week, playoffs, or even this week, games are going on. A lot of sports stuff. We'll be back. Don't know when, but until next time, peace and love, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.